Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am very happy to have my co-founder, Gordon Gooch, with me. Gordon, say hello.
Hello. Well, you told me I had to say hello.
Okay, fine. So thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited. We're talking about kind of a very fundamental topic. What is a personal brand and why do you need one today? So really fundamental, basic thing for us, but we're going to have a really good discussion about it because you know what? We have a lot of thoughts on this subject. So I'm going to start off by what is a personal brand? So ultimately, your personal brand really is everything from your online presence to your offline presence, your reputation, your expertise, really everything. And so if you think about when you're in a networking situation, corporate situation, whatever it is, it's how people kind of feel about you. It does have something to do with likability, all that sort of stuff, and kind of how people feel. Do they trust you? Do they like you? And then on an online, your online presence is also a form of your personal brand. So again, do people like you? Do people trust you? Do people think that you are an expert in something? And do they trust you ultimately? So it really is just everything. And it can help you in so many ways, from getting a job to getting into a club that you want to getting just really so many things in your life. So we're going to talk about really all about that sort of stuff. Did I miss anything, Gordon, about personal branding?
No, I think that's right. The other way that I look at it too is probably in the past when there wasn't anything else to go on. People believe that your title denoted what your level of expertise was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that people believe that any more than they believe your resume. But when your personal brand is based on thought leadership, is based on and sharing your expertise and experience, especially if you do it to help others, not about self-promotion or anything. That's where the key comes in. It's the proof is in the pudding. You're taking your expertise, you're demonstrating it in front of other people by helping your target audience or these other individuals with challenges that you know that they're going to have, whether it's the potential clients that you have or the consumer of your goods, whatever it turns out to be. And that's what I really think of it. And when you have a personal brand, even a powerful personal brand, then that I was doing a little segue for your podcast.
I love it. I love it.
That when you have that, that's when what you're talking about, that's when the opportunities start to flow. Mm-hmm. So visibility is the currency of opportunity. So when you start to demonstrate your expertise and your visibility rises and people know you and they start to trust you and believe that you're an authority, just from what we see, that's when the opportunities start to flow. Yeah. Job opportunities, business opportunities, leads for your business, paid speaking engagement. I mean, the list is pretty long.
Yeah.
And so that to me is really what a personal brand is today.
So let's talk a little bit about the difference between personal branding and corporate branding. We've touched on this before, but it's a corporate. I mean, a lot of corporate branding departments, there's no authenticity. There's no human touch. They're very much like, buy this product. This is why it's so great. Like, it's just, it's so faceless and nothing you really kind of want to, nothing emotional, right? No emotional kind of feel to it. Nothing that kind
connection.
of, no connection. And so that's like a really big thing and why, there's a big difference. So some people ask, like, if I have my corporate brand, do I really need a personal brand? And the answer is yes. Because say you have this business, say you're an owner of like some fitness studios or something like that, right? And so you are talking about, you're giving fitness tips and you're telling people, these are the things. This is really great. This is not great. I would recommend this. I wouldn't recommend that. That gets into people's feed and people will start following you. And then all of a sudden people will look into who you are and they're like, oh my gosh, he or she has fitness studios in my town. Wow. Okay. I think I want to learn more. So that's kind of, so whatever it is. So people, so they're not just going to, they'll see your fitness studio or they'll see snippets of a class or something like that. And it might be like slightly interesting. But again, people are kind of inert. Like they're like, oh, I'm being marketed to, this is about this company. I'm not really feeling this. But when because we talked about it before, when someone is essentially not soft selling you, but helping you out with a question that you have, whether it's, so this particular instance, a health related topic or something that you're thinking about, that is helpful and no one's asking for anything in return. You go and you do dig a little deeper and you find out this person is selling a product or they have a service that you can use. That is the best way to, that's the ideal situation because you're talking about like, the opportunities and things like that. So there are so many opportunities from speaking engagements to PR to all of these things that could come from your personal brand, but leads as well. And it's done in a very soft and gentle way, rather than buy this now. And
Yeah.
if you think about too, is like if someone has a program or something they're selling and you really like them, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, I have this program." They're like, "Wow, awesome! I've been wondering how I could work with you."
Yeah. 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 I agree with that. I mean, 100%. It's if you're there and you come across as not selling legitimately, you're not faking it, not
Hmm.
selling, but you're legitimately taking it on. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of expertise. I'm willing to share that. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be like, oh, someone is talking about the latest fitness craze. Here's my experience on that fitness, just to keep going with the health
Yeah.
studio or the workout studio. But I mean, yeah, so here's my take on it. This is the positive, this is the negative. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's where it ends, right? So
Hmm.
how does that land for the audience? Well, it lands, in my opinion, that wow, this person here is trying to legitimately help me out. They seem like a nice person, you know, and you kind of go from there. And then over time, you're like, well, dig a little deeper. Who is she? Oh, she's the CEO of XYZ Studio. Oh, well, that's great. Well, she obviously knows what she's talking about. Yeah, they've got a studio in my town. Maybe I should check it out.
Yeah.
That's where all of that comes. But it's not like your brand isn't there to trick people
No.
into thinking that
It's
you're
not
a
a trick.
good person,
Yeah.
and
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 if you're,
and haha, yeah,
I'm sure that
I've tricked
people
you.
might use it that way because, right,
Oh,
but
okay,
people
you're
will
right.
know. People have a gut reaction to it. So,
Yeah,
I want to talk about some common misconceptions that people have about personal branding.
okay.
If you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
That you love, like, no one ever thinks they have competition. So an interest you everyone has competition because basically, if you don't have competition, you probably shouldn't be in the industry that you're in, right? Like, if there's no one else doing it, maybe there's a reason why. You know,
Yeah,
I just say. So, and then the other problem is that some people think, well, I started posting yesterday. Why don't I have a million followers? Why aren't I on the cover of the Wall Street Journal yet? Why aren't this and that? And like, people, again, they don't look at themselves objectively. And they're just like, well, why don't I have this? I'm just like, okay, well, would you give someone that opportunity if you just met them with that one post? No.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
no one
think
thinks about that.
I agree with the other one that is my super pet peeve is all I need to do is to create one piece of viral content. How hard could it possibly be?
I mean,
You know,
so easy.
it's a breeze. Everybody
Yes.
does it. That's why everybody has the same number of followers as Taylor Swift. It's so
I,
easy.
it's so
Yeah,
easy.
so easy. So that's one of my big peeves. But yeah, I agree with you. It's this, and I just started posting. It's been a couple of days. Why aren't people engaging with me? Well, that's because people are pretty used to being sold to. They're a little wary to begin with. So
And
that's
so
the
are the
human.
algorithms.
Well, I was going to say that people
Yeah.
don't understand that the algorithm, they have their own way of doing things. You're like I always say, you have two audiences at least. One is Google/social media, the algorithm, and the other is the humans that you're trying to get in front of and help and whatnot. The algorithms, yeah, everybody that doesn't start or starts posting on Tuesday, the algorithm doesn't go, well, I'm going to show their content to the whole world tomorrow. It doesn't work that way.
Thank God they're
LinkedIn,
here. Where have they
Yeah.
been?
Where have they been? Yeah. There's nobody else that's talking about this.
No one else, because
Yeah,
they have no
nobody.
competition, Gordon.
You're right. Yeah. What was I thinking? So you have to think in terms of being sandboxed for sometimes 30 days. That means you're going to put effort in of posting, of engaging on social media, all of that sort of good stuff for 30 days without a payoff. That's the best way to go into it. Because when you get past that point, that's when the algorithm goes, okay, maybe this guy's kind of serious about this. I don't have to waste it. Now I can increase her reach, right? I can start showing that content to more people. I'm not just going to keep it to his friends and maybe three others kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that's the reality.
people bail out because they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they want that quick. Well, why isn't it working? 30 days, Gordon,
Yeah.
your stuff doesn't work if it takes
Yeah.
30 days. And I'm just like, you know what? It's fine because you're going to make more room for me and all my friends that stick it out
Yeah.
and are like, because the thing that's actually funny, because we have this business for a while, and so many personal branding experts especially came out in like 2020, 2021, and all this kind of stuff. Remember, I found one that was like, she was a former trapeze artist turned personal branding expert. I'm like, because those two are totally intertwined, but whatever. Anyway, the system will weed them out, right? They'll weed themselves out because they'll
Hmm.
eventually go like, this is hard. You're like, yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
why. I mean, everyone wants this, the magic bullet, this, the super secret, the thing that's going to make it easy. But easy, there is no easy.
Yeah.
It is hard. But if it's yeah, it's why there's reward for the people that stick it out.
Yeah, well, there's a process, and you have to understand. Yeah, so it's not just you've made a decision in
Hmm.
your heart of hearts to build a personal brand, and therefore it will happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nuances. There are processes. You have to understand how the people are going to engage with you as much as the machines are going to engage with you. But I thought the one other thing, because you're talking about, you've got to stick it out, and how I see it every year. January comes along. All of a sudden, there's a million people that want to talk to me. It's like, I need to build my personal brand, and I've read about it, and I'm going to do it, and it's going to be great. And not, I can't think of any that have made it to the last week in January. They're just like, holy, that's really hard.
yeah.
Yeah, you want me to write all of this and engage with people and come up
It's
with
like
really
going to the
interesting.
gym. You're not going to have
Oh, that's good.
results
Yeah.
unless you consistently show up, lift those weights. Yeah,
Hmm.
you're not going to have gains. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, same thing, same exact, like,
Yeah. The New
well,
Year's resolution of I'm
yeah,
going to have a personal
a
brand.
personal
How hard could
brand
it be?
or yeah, go to the gym.
A six pack.
Um, a six pack, yeah. Well, so like, so why does your personal brand matter? So we've kind of talked about a lot of stuff, right?
Mhm.
Career growth, entrepreneurship is really important, right? If you're the one sharing the message for whatever business you have, we talked about the person that has a fitness studio, right? So you can ultimately bring in leads if you do it well, right? Not not the viper, the rattlesnake that comes in and strikes too soon before everyone's like, ooh, I don't know that I trust you anymore. And they're not coming
Yeah.
back. So you have to keep going, trust the process, and it'll work.
Well, and you
Um,
did talk too about, because you mentioned it a couple of times, like startups, right? So
mhm.
so some of what we're talking about is you have an existing business,
Yeah.
and you want to get to that point where you've built up this rapport with your audience, and now that halo effect, that positive feeling, now basically extends to your company, and people have an interest in buying your service or your widget or whatever it turns
Mhm.
out to be. But the other one, and we've kind of only touched on it, is for founders. And so, and you've always said this too, Claire, is, they bet on the jockey, not the horse. The investor
Right.
builds,
Yeah.
bets on the jockey, not the horse. So if you're a founder, and rather than constantly pump the company about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to change the world, we're going to do all these sorts of things, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, which everybody has heard about, every single freaking startup, everybody believes that. But here's a different take. The founder builds their personal brand, their CEO brand. They are talking about the problem, the the challenge that that target audience has and how their product is supposed to solve that. But they're demonstrating expertise, they're sharing their experience, they're building a rapport with an audience. So, or a target market. So, what are the benefits of that? One is if you're in an industry and there is angel or Series A or VCs, whatever it is, in that are interested in that industry, and they see you, and you're always putting yourself out there. Guess who they come to talk to? It's not about your pitch deck; it's
Yeah.
about you. And then when you get to that point and you've built this rapport, and now you're there and you're willing, you basically launched. And so now I have a product or a service. Well, who do you think the first people are going to come to buy that product or service?
The
The people that
following.
you've already built that relationship with, because they
Mhm.
know, like, and trust you. So they're going to be like, well, I like him, her. I'm going to come back and see what this thing is really all about.
So one thing I saw, it was a snippet on like Shark Tank, and I don't remember what the company did. I don't remember who, could have been Mark Cuban or someone that they were talking
Mm.
with. But basically the two, like, it wasn't the CEO, it was like other people that were there to pitch the company, and basically all of the people on the panel for Shark Tank were just like, no, I don't even need to hear anything. No one's going to do anything because the CEO doesn't think it's important enough to be here.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when you want funding, you have to show that it's important to you. You have to walk the walk. You have to put yourself out there, because if you're just back there coding or, like doing the work versus like hiring people to do the work, because now you have to get funding for the company. You have to kind of make a decision, right? Do you really need to go to funding, or are you going to bootstrap and that kind of thing? But if you're going to go for funding, you have to put yourself out there. And if you don't care about putting yourself out there and the company, then no one else is either. So that
Mm.
kind of goes into the next thing, that kind of like, what is a strong personal brand? So authenticity, being real, showing I mean, you don't need to like cry or whatever, but like you have to show that you're kind of real, and you're emotional about something, right? I mean, we're
If you
super
don't
passionate
cry,
about
there's
personal
no
branding.
reason. Yeah, if you don't
Then
cry,
you know what?
what's the point? It needs to
Exactly.
be the breakdown on camera, and yeah.
And so the next, like being consistent, we talked about that, right? Sticking it out and keep doing it when it feels hard and you're just like, I don't want to do it. If you're doing it right, you've done your research on your target market and the audience, and what the questions they have, the pain points that they have, and you're answering those questions and you're helping them out, it will work. If it's not working, something is wrong. Something, your audience is off. The questions are
Messaging.
wrong.
Yeah.
They're pain points. You haven't figured them out yet.
Mm.
If you get it right, it will work, and it takes time. And then so you were talking about, so visibility. So with that, because every person that goes and interacts with a post or a story or a video, that kind of says, okay, well, there's a lot of interaction at the very beginning, so we should start releasing it to more people. So that'll increase the visibility. So you ultimately want, because we've talked about like people that gatekeep their stuff, right? They don't tell you watch those videos on YouTube, right? You did a YouTube search and you're like, I want to know the answer to this. And then you get there and you're like, would they stop talking, like all their babbling thing, like, oh, I'm selling this thing? Or they talk on and on about who they are. You're like, you know what? If I care, I could do quick research. I could do a quick Google search. What is that? What is that? That's again your personal brand. But like quickly get in there and say, this is what it is. Because if you give them great information and it actually helps them, they're not going to be like, well, they didn't go in this long diatribe about who they were and where they went to school and all this kind of stuff. They can do the research later. But ultimately, you have to like, the only way to get visibility is to give people the information, no gatekeeping. And we see this on Instagram all the time. If you want the recipe, comment whatever. And I'm like, I know that helps your engagement, but it's so annoying.
Yeah. Well, I like
Um,
the YouTube ones, like you said. It's like they get you almost through the point, and they're like, and to learn more, just click the link down below, and then I'll try to sell you a ton of stuff. And
yeah.
you're like, I just really wanted you to show me how to fix
I
this one
just
part.
wanted the answer. So yeah. So then you go. So the next thing is value.
Hmm.
You have to provide value and meaningful content. I just I think I've mentioned this many times, but your personal brand is not for you. If you do it well, if you're sharing, because we just talked about, right? If you're sharing information, if you know who your ideal audience is and what their pain points are, what they have, the questions that they have, the help that they need, and you have that expertise and you help them, that's valuable to them. I have an actually a business coach that I worked with a while ago. She actually just kind of basically just started. She worked for a corporate job, but she's just started giving business tips on social media. I don't know what platform she was on, but she was just giving business tips, and they were really useful. She had a pretty good following and things like that. And one guy reached out to her and he's like, "Look, like there's no way for me to like work with you or anything like that, but I actually feel like I owe you something. I'd like to pay you something. Do you have like a Venmo?" Like I feel like you've given me such valuable information that I would just like to pay you. And so she later was like, "Oh, I could turn this into a business." But she didn't gatekeep, she didn't hold back. She just gave value. And
Mhm.
a random person, she never asked for anything. He just wanted to give her money because it was so valuable to him. He was like,
Yeah.
I can't keep taking this for free. So it does have value. It is currency for something later. But it has to be at the right time. Kind of we talked to rattlesnake striking in. So let's talk about where to start building your personal brand. A lot of people want to talk about like defining their niche and their core message. We kind of think of it a little bit differently, right? Everyone wants to see their avatars and like, this is Betty, she's 35. You're like, no one cares, man. Someone made that shit up. So
He doesn't care.
doesn't care. Um, we look at it very different. And you really kind of this is your kind of area of expertise. But once you have an idea of who your audience is, but ultimately, if people are asking questions and you're in your industry and things like that, that's how you get in front of your ideal audience. And I think so many people think about like they kind of look at it upside down instead of
Yeah.
if you just figured out what people were searching for, you could create the content. And ultimately, the people that are your ideal people will be attracted to you
Yeah.
because they
I
like the way you present it. They like your messaging. They like your delivery.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think of their brand. What do I need to tell you? What do I need to pontificate on because you don't know, I've got the answers. And that's kind of the position they come out. They either do that, I'm pontificating, I'm telling you what you need to know. That really irks the heck out of
Oh,
me.
me too.
Or the other one is the opposite is the self-promotion where it's like, I've achieved this. You should follow me
Mm.
because I've done all of this stuff and I
Yay,
went on
me
a vacation.
posts.
Yeah, the yay me post, exactly right. But
Yay, you.
the most important piece of your brand is not you thinking about what you want people to know or that you're self-promoting. It is you've done your research and there's a way to do it to figure out what are, we call them burning questions, but what are the questions that your target audience has, and then how do you leverage your expertise and experience to answer those questions to help that audience out. It's a
Yeah.
completely different take on building your brand.
Hmm.
And when people come at it from that position and also not gatekeep, like you said, that's kind of the same as the viper that's waiting to
Yeah.
pounce. Well, I'm going to give you 90%, but now you've got to pay me. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. The people are, if they believe that you're an authority, they trust that you know what you're talking about, they will come back to you. They will come
Hmm.
back and reward you. You always give an
Or
audience what it
recommend
wants.
you. Like they
Yeah,
could
or
recommend you.
recommend you.
Yeah.
I look at that as a reward too. So you give an
Yeah.
audience what it wants, and an audience will reward you. So
Hmm.
it can be with business, it could be with referrals, like you were talking
Yeah.
about. But yeah, it's a different way of thinking about your personal brand, and I think I honestly think that sometimes when you think of it that way, it makes your brand easier for you to digest because now you're not sitting there, well, I really don't want to pontificate. Oh, I really don't want to self promote. That feels
Yeah.
weird to me. Okay, you're
You're
right.
not self promoting.
You're not self promoting. If you're out there and you're legitimately giving your expertise and experience to people that need that answer, think of it. What questions did you have when you were just starting out in your current career? What
Yep.
questions would you have had? I mean, you could start as simple as that. And so
Yep.
that's maybe a place to how you're going to attack your personal brand.
Well, and then, so who essentially kind of who your audience is.
Mhm.
Um, you know the questions that they're asking. Then obviously you want to be in the platforms they are, right? So you have to be where your audience is. If you're sharing recipes, they're probably not on LinkedIn. So just kind of think about that. So, and then we talked about it before, high value content, and engaging with your audience. Because a lot of people, like you said, they get on their soapbox. They're just like, here I am. This is my first post. Come and lavish me with, give me all of your attention. And you're like, what? Who are you? I hate, I really, I kind of don't like you. I really just, I don't,
Uh,
so yeah, so it's just super important to give high value content, engage with your audience, engage with them, be part of the community, respond to comments, engage with others in your community, because a lot of people don't think about social media being social, and the platforms will reward you for being on the platform, for engaging with others. If you just go in there, share your post, and just be like, I'm waiting, you'll be waiting for a long time. So the next thing is sharing stories, because we have been sharing quite a few stories throughout this. I think we like our storytelling. So sharing stories, because whenever I'm doing media and video training with people, I'm like, the stories just add the picture in your mind. It just puts the picture in your mind where you're like, I get it. I see it now because you gave me that example. You gave me that little story that makes it make sense. The viper.
mm,
You add some character and some life to this story, and that's the thing. Because Gordon, you and I were watching some seminar, and they were talking about kind of like how authenticity, storytelling, all these things, because there's so many people out there that could literally just go onto ChatGPT, create content, and they're an expert. But it's the ones that actually have real stories. They're on video. They're real people with real stories, and you can tell, you feel it in your gut. You're like, yeah, this is a real person. They're not just
mhm,
kind of like reading from a script. Kind of what we were talking about in a previous podcast. We were talking about Gwyneth Paltrow gets really kind of involved in love her or hate her, right? All the love them or hate them. But your ideal audience will come to you. So the people that don't like you, they're not going to buy your stuff, and that's
yeah.
okay.
I
But
think,
like, yeah.
go ahead. I
Oh,
was going to say, because you kind of touched on the whole AI thing. So we can do a whole
we
10
should.
podcasts on AI. But the other thing that I think is interesting, being the tech nerd a little bit, is people don't understand that when AI creates content and you think you've done something amazing and you've pulled one over on all of us because you use ChatGPT to write your social media posts or
Hmm.
your blogs or whatnot, you didn't. And the
Yeah.
sad thing is you didn't fool the machines either, because they can recognize all of this content that's created by ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you're
Hmm.
using, right? So that's part of it. And then the second thing is, just like you were talking about sharing experiences, it's not just your expertise, but it's experiences, it's the storytelling. The
And you don't
machines
have to like
don't tell
name
stories.
names. You don't have to
No,
embarrass
no.
anybody.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting
No, no,
that,
no.
but
But
I
I'm
mean,
just saying we've heard that before. They're like, I can't share my experience because I could get in trouble with my company. You're not saying names.
yeah, yeah, just call it company XYZ, or you know,
I worked with a client once.
John Doe. Who cares? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's the story and the experience that helps people relate to you,
Hmm.
to engage with you, and that's part of what they're looking for, that human
Yeah.
connection. Experience is a way to share a human connection. There's no machine in the world so far that can do that.
Yeah. So just quickly go over like some obstacles or some things that maybe someone needs to overcome in order to build their personal brand. So imposter syndrome and self-doubt. We see this a lot. Um, and you touched on this. Remember you're helping people. So it's not about you. Get over yourself. If you
Mhm.
want to build your personal brand for all the things that we talked about. So uh, you know, better job, opportunities, speaking engagements, PR. funding for your business. Get over your fear and just get out there and do it. You'll get better over time. Help
Mhm.
people, because that's actually what's going to help you keep doing it over and over. If you're helping people, that's what's gonna help you get over it. The other thing that we've heard, and we could tell some jokes on this one, is being too salesy. So sometimes people are like, I don't want to sell without selling, right? What is that? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Selling
so
without selling.
I did some research. I was like, how could you like? What is like the actual like? Could you get an ROI? Like if someone done research based on the research that I found, it said it can take anywhere like can take 12 to 18 months of consistent sharing content in order to have an ROI from not selling. Selling without selling. Like
It doesn't work.
that's kind of like what I was saying with the woman who was giving all of that information, and one person out of the thousands that she helped asked to give her money. So she sold without selling, but it was to one person that it took a long time. So
Mhm.
that is the play that you do when you don't need the money. If you actually need your business to succeed and you're doing this for, yeah, no, I'm not going to say like ulterior motives, but you're doing it to build a brand, the brand for something else, or you're building your brand for a reason. It is not
Yeah.
bad to say, I mean, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to tell people information like, hey, do you want to take a personal brand rating? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, here's something you might be able to learn about yourself, or
Yeah.
here, go check out this blog. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the
And I think
ROI
people,
that you always
yeah,
talk about. There has to be an ROI to your brand, otherwise there is no point.
yeah,
So yeah, it's how you're going about it. We're saying that a powerful personal brand, a powerful CEO brand will have a payoff. There
hmm,
will be an ROI. People will come back to you either to buy or as a lead or whatever it turns out to be. You're looking for a career change, they're going to offer you a job. Yeah, there has to be an ROI. Otherwise, why are you putting all of this effort out? But if you're
right,
coming at it from, I'm not here to sell you, I'm here to help you, and the, what do you call it? The ancillary result is that someone wants to buy your service or your goods or give you a job or bring business opportunities to you. Yeah.
yeah,
So we're not saying that we're not saying that there's not supposed to be value in
right,
building out your brand.
right, exactly. All right, so um, just kind of go through the other ones kind of sort of quickly, but like thinking about people, you talked about this like, oh, I'm going to post a viral video, right? You're going to post one time and woo, there's going to be so much because people were waiting for me. No one was waiting for you. People might be waiting for Beyonce to post something, but they're not waiting for you. Sorry. But she built her brand. Again, they're looking at Beyonce today, not looking at her 20, 30 years ago when she was like really starting out. So the other problem is people are like, again, they're like thinking, I'm going to post this, everyone's going to see it and it's going to go viral. The alternative of that is, oh my God, I post this and now everyone's judging me and looking at me. So it's okay. They're not, especially at the beginning. It's just your friends and people that know you. Um, and yeah, it's such a small group and no one's judging you. And if they are, then they're not your friends. Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like when we're talking about being authentic, we've definitely seen people that we actually had someone that was asking, like, can I use an avatar to do videos? Because I don't want to do videos. You're like, no, you can't. That is not authentic. Like, no, don't overly retouch your photos. Don't, yeah, I mean, I guess like people like Tastemade, like they did the faceless videos of doing recipes, and there's other people that have kind of done it, but uh, I think that's different type of content, right? If I want to know how to bake
Yeah.
a cake, I want to see you bake the cake. I don't really need you to walk me through it. It's just like I just need the recipe and how. So I want to just see it, right? But if you are an expertise in just an expert in something else, like you want to say you want to build a brand as a baker, build a personality because ultimately build that kind of who you are. And that can, yeah, like leads to other things like cookbooks, book tours, all of these things because people want to not only get your recipes, but they want to know you, they want to see you. So yeah, don't over retouch photos. Don't put yourself in the videos. That's just like I feel like it goes without saying, but sometimes people don't
Yeah,
see it.
it's
So
it's interesting. I think that that comes from a little bit, and we always tell people this too. When your visibility starts to go up, somebody will say something snarky. You
and it
just
could be
have
your
to have
friend.
it could be your friends. You what it comes from, and you have to realize if you're putting your effort out there and you're building visibility, you're helping people, somebody's going to be jealous and
Mhm.
they're going to say something stupid. Your hair looks dumb. I hate your blouse or your whatever it turns out to be. Who cares?
Who
Don't let
cares?
that crater, yeah, don't let that crater your entire effort on building your brand because somebody's jealous and wants to bring you back down, right? So we see that we've got great stories about, friends that
Yeah.
have gone after
Oh,
people building their brands and completely tear them down. And a lot of times, quite frankly, unfortunately, those people will crater and then
yeah.
we never see them again. The
Yeah.
ones that power through or basically tell that people, thanks for your opinion. I don't agree. I'm happy with the way I am, whatever it turns out to be. I
Or the
like my
message
hair.
that I said, right? Someone could
Yeah,
disagree with what you said.
right, right. That's a good
Yeah.
point. That's actually called engagement, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like that. But so yeah, you have to have a little bit of self confidence. But if you've gotten to the point, I think, where you recognize that you want to build a personal brand, it's because you realize that you've seen other people and there is a benefit to it. There is an ROI. So don't let people get in there and dissuade you or bring you back down.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous. That's all
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think on that, Gordon, I think that's a great final thought to leave everyone with. So don't let anyone stand in your way. Um, so really important message. So I just want to thank everyone for watching and listening. I think this was a fun topic. Thank you for being here, Gordon. That we
sure.
had a lot to talk about. And as I said before, I'm going to mention it. If you're interested in finding out where your personal brand currently stands, I invite you to take our personal brand rating assessment. It will give you a snapshot of where you are and steps you can take right now to improve your personal brand. And you can find the link in the description box along with other places to find me. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.